What if I told you that chronic stress isn't just making you feel bad, it's actually interfering with your hormone production at a biochemical level? There's a mechanism called the cortisol steal, and once you understand it, a lot of different things about how you feel in midlife are going to start to make sense. So stay with me for the next few minutes because this is the piece that a lot of women have never been told. I'm Lynda Enright. I'm a registered dietitian and functional nutritionist. I've been working with women in perimenopause and menopause for over 25 years. Women come to me doing a lot of things right. They're eating well, they're exercising, they're taking supplements, and they still feel anxious, exhausted, and hormonally out of balance. And one of the first things I look at is how chronic stress is affecting their hormonal landscape because the connection is real, it's measurable, and a lot of women have never heard about it. So to understand this cortisol steal, I need to introduce you to a hormone called pregnenolone, something that a lot of people haven't heard about. Sometimes it's considered the mother hormone because it's a precursor, meaning your body uses it as the raw material, the building blocks to make other hormones. A few of them, cortisol, progesterone, estrogen, DHEA also. So we think of pregnenolone like a pot of ingredients in your kitchen. Your body uses those ingredients to make different stuff, cook different dishes, different hormones, depending on what is needed. So under normal circumstances, those ingredients get distributed across the production of all these different hormones pretty balanced. But when we're under chronic stress, everything changes. So when your body's under chronic stress, the kind of stress that's just sort of running quietly in the background day after day, all day long, your body prioritizes making cortisol because cortisol is your survival hormone. Your brain is wired to keep you alive above all else. And when it perceives this threat, this ongoing stress, it keeps pulling from that pot of pregnenolone to keep cortisol production up. The problem is, that uses up the pregnenolone that would otherwise be available to your body to make things like progesterone. Progesterone is your calming hormone. It supports sleep. It reduces anxiety. It helps regulate your cycle. It balances the effects of estrogen. And it's also the hormone that tends to go down first in perimenopause. So here's the double whammy that you get is you're losing progesterone as a natural part of the hormonal transition of midlife, and chronic stress is diverting the raw materials away from making progesterone. So now this decline is happening even faster and more intensely. So less progesterone means more anxiety. It means more sleep, heavier or more irregular periods, more midlife symptoms overall. And stress might be driving this whole thing. The cortisol steal is a direct connection, but it doesn't have to stop there. The cortisol steal is the most direct connection, but it doesn't just stop there. Cortisol also affects estrogen. So chronically elevated cortisol can contribute to a state called estrogen dominance, where estrogen is high relative to progesterone. So this is what can be associated with mood swings, breast tenderness, heavy periods, bloating, and water retention. And then there's insulin. Cortisol raises blood sugar. And so when blood sugar rises, now our insulin rises to clear it out. Too much insulin makes your body more likely to store fat, more likely to have energy swings, and over time, more likely to develop insulin resistance, which makes weight harder. So we have this big change. So chronic stress, elevated cortisol, lower progesterone, now more anxiety and poor sleep. Elevated cortisol can be blood sugar spikes, then elevated insulin, then fat storage and energy crashes. Elevated cortisol can be estrogen dominance, mood swings, and hormonal symptoms. So stress is not just one problem. It's this thread that can be running through all of them. So what does this mean? So here's the takeaway. You can eat well, you can exercise, you can take all these supplements, and you can still feel terrible if your nervous system is chronically activated and cortisol is pulling resources away from the hormones that you need. So stress management midlife is not a nice to have. It is absolutely hormonal medicine. So this is why I start here with women I work with, before we talk about food, before we talk about labs, before we talk about supplements, because nothing else works if we haven't addressed what stress is doing underneath. The practical tools that move the needle the most: breathing intentionally, slow exhales that are longer than your inhales. They directly activate your parasympathetic, your rest and digest system, which helps to lower your cortisol. Walking, especially outside, natural light, even 10 minutes, 20 minutes, helps to metabolize and break down the cortisol, and also can help to regulate your circadian rhythms so you sleep better. Protect your rest, actual downtime, not just laying on the couch scrolling. That is not resting. Actual rest, doing nothing, is when repair happens. Your body needs it to rebalance. Also, learn to say no. Chronic overcommitment is a big driver that I see of nervous system dysregulation. I see it in women all the time. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is physiologically necessary. I hope this helped you to understand a little bit more about the connection between stress and your hormones in maybe a way you haven't learned before. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you are navigating this time, midlife, perimenopause, or menopause, and just feel like something is off, and even though you feel like you're doing everything right, click on the link to schedule a free discovery call. Let's chat, and I can help you understand a little bit more about what's going on.